Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So happy you're here today because I have a really special project inspired by the path of positivity. Now the theme there is always anything goes, but we have an optional theme of texture. And that is what inspired this three-part project. The three parts are a burlap bag, a fun little horsey tag, and muffins to go inside the bag. And they have a lot of texture also. So let's get started by taking a look at what I used to put this all together. And then we'll go with the bag first. Now there's some twine there, but I ended up not using the twine. Here are pieces that I cut from Cricut Design, and I'll show you a picture of that. Here's the picture of my Design Space screen. You can sort of get an idea how I laid this all out and figured out my sizes. I measured the container the muffins were going to go into and then went from there. I used text from Woodland. I used tag cuts from Close to My Heart Artiste. The digital paper pattern was from, or the pattern paper was from Victoria Designs, and that cute little pony is Pony Flower from Hetty Claire, and it'll all be linked below. Here is the container that I used, and again I measured that, and that's how I figured out approximately how big I needed my burlap bag to be. Here is some ribbon that I had in my stash, actually from a large project I had done before, and I thought that would be really pretty fall ribbon. So what I did is I took this scrap of burlap and I just folded it and stitched a seam. That's all I did. Now I did finish off that edge because burlap is going to ravel out if you don't. After stitching it, I put it in wrong side out, and I just figured out, okay, how wide do I need this? I just sort of eyeballed it all, and then took the container back out, cut where I thought would be appropriate, and it's easy to cut a straight line because you can just cut straight up the fiber. You can see where to cut. It's very easy. I'm going to go ahead and stick some pins in, and then I'll go back to the sewing machine and I will sew a straight seam down, and then I will finish it again with a sort of finishing seam. I'm not really sure on my machine what that is called. It's a really pretty seam, but you can just zigzag and that will take care of the problem. All right, I'm just stitching off some spare threads here, and then I will turn the bag right side out, pull the corners so I get some nice pointy corners, and lay the seams in. And then I will be off to the ironing board to iron this so it lays nice and flat. So here we go. All right, back from the ironing board, and now we're going to test it. Bag fits perfectly over our container. And now it's time to start our tag. So I'm going to lay that aside because I would be the first one to get ink all over it if I didn't. I'm just going to start by putting some ink over the edges of the different pieces of the tag. I have a little bit of orange ink that I went over the orange cardstock, and now a little bit of cashmere. These are all old retired colors from Close to My Heart. Now, this brown paper was very thin, so I decided I better put a piece of beige cardstock behind it. So I started with a little ATG and covered that with some fabric tack. That gives me wiggle room. So if I don't get it placed exactly where I want it, then I can wiggle it around a little bit and get it positioned exactly where it goes. So I laid it down here, got it where I thought I needed it, and just pressed it down. Now I'm going over with just a little bit of brown ink, or that cashmere ink, just to get over those edges a little bit. I'm continuing the inking onto this pattern paper, again from Victoria Designs. I have that linked below if you want to go over and visit her shop. She has some beautiful papers there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and center this, and start layering up the tag. Again, using ATG and fabric tack. That's all I'm doing to adhere this. Bringing in the little orange piece and continuing to layer it up. All right, then I will bring in the pony, that little pony. He's so cute, or she's so cute. It's sort of funny, the recipient of this bag actually has a little miniature horse that looks very much like this, and her name is Daisy, and this little pony has a little daisy in its mouth. So this was just too perfect, too perfect. All right, so I'm continuing the layering process, very simple, just gluing it all together. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what's coming up. I actually close this bag up with some leather that I found. I was looking for the eyelet to finish my tag, and I ran across this leather that I had had forever. Probably got it in a box at a garage sale or something. And I thought, oh, that would be perfect and add to more texture. So that's why you see leather closing it up instead of the twine. Now I went ahead and added the eyelet, and I will again list that below where I found that eyelet. And it's off to the kitchen to do some baking. All right, now, first off, I am not a veterinarian. I am not an equine nutritionist. So please feed your horses according to your veterinarian's recommendations. I do know that some horses have metabolic issues and cannot have sugar. So just be aware of this and feed your horses accordingly. All right, so here's the recipe, and you can always pause your video at this point and jot this down. Here they are. You bake them for about 8 minutes, press the pumpkins in, put them in for a couple more. And you can also do this without the added pumpkin candies. And that cuts down on a lot of the sugar. I think you could probably substitute out the sugar with applesauce, sugar-free applesauce, which would also cut down on some of the sugar. All right, so I have packaged these in the container, and it's just a recycled container. It actually had ham in it, and from the grocery store. And now I'm going to go ahead and close up our burlap bag. So I'm just going to come in with this leather cord, and I'm going to wrap it around the back of the bag. And as I pull the leather, you'll see me pulling the sides back out. And that will give it kind of a fun, pretty look and not just like we squished it together. Okay, so then I just cut off the excess. Now I'm bringing in fishing twine. Again, I'm going to bring it around from the back so I don't have to pick up my muffins and, turn them upside down or anything. And I'm just going to slide this tag through the fishing line through the tag. There we go. And just knot that. Okay. And then we've got that in place. Now, once we've done that, we're going to move on and we're going to make the bow. Now, I'm going to tell you that my camera clicked off, so I didn't get all of this, but there's enough there that you'll understand. I'm using a bow maker that actually was gifted to me many years ago, and it's just a board and it has the inches measured off. So I have got the tail of my bow sitting at about 3 inches. My loops, you're going to be able to see this in just a second, I've got extended to the 2. Okay, and I'm just going to do this 2 times. So I'm just wrapping around a nice little bow, twist the ribbon here. Okay, so I've got it at the 2. Then I twist and I bring this side over to the 2 and give it a second bow on that side. Then I bring it back through, twist again. Okay, bring it over to the 2 and do it again. Now you can do all kinds of different bows. You can do like a 3-2-1, like 3 inches for the bottom layer, then 2 inches for the next layer. But I just chose to do a simple bow on this one. Coming back with my fishing line, and I'm going to put it right underneath the bow and then just tie a nice knot in there. All right, so I'm just going to slip it right under there. The bow is holding its shape pretty well because it's wired. It's a wired fabric bow, so it's going to hold its shape while I'm taking my time here. I usually speed things up, but I know that some people have trouble with bows, so I left this just at regular speed. I almost said regular tempo. That's a musician, isn't it? At regular speed so that you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so we're just tying a knot in this. I'm going to leave the fishing line long. Okay, I'm not going to cut that off because that's what I'm going to use then to tie around the bag. Okay, and that's what you're going to miss seeing, and that's why I'm going through that right now. Cutting off the little tails here, and I'm keeping them short. Again, I'm keeping them short because I want the tag to be a bigger feature on this. And if the bow gets too big, it's going to cover too much of the tag. So again, I'm leaving that fishing line long. I go in and I just wrap it around where the tag is tied on. I just do the same thing with the bow that I did with the tag, tying it directly over the tag. And that's all I've done to finish up this bag. So here's a close-up of that. You can see that it's just gotten tied right over the top, but we can still see plenty of that. Now, did horses like these muffins? Well, let's check it out. This is my horse Thunder. He is 30-something. We don't have papers on him, so not sure. But he loved them. This is my friend's miniature horse, Daisy, and she also loved them. This was a gift for her. Thanks so much for joining me today. I so appreciate your time. Any comments or questions, leave them below, and I'll leave you information on where to find all these goodies. See you in the next video. Bye.